Happy Juneteenth, team players. So I might not be black myself, but Juneteenth does celebrate exactly the type of thing that inspired this channel in the first place. So today I want to talk about my 5 basic teamwork tricks in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Some of these might seem like common sense to some of you. However, the chances are pretty low that your party follows all of these. So make sure you stay tuned to the end so you get all the information you need. My first tip for you guys is to use recall knowledge. I cannot tell you how many times I've had parties that tell me that an encounter is too tough when they don't even use a recall knowledge check on it. Every enemy in the entire game has one saving throw that is lower than the rest. And the only way you find that out is if you do a recall knowledge and ask for what's its lowest save. Just knowing that can make an encounter go from insanely difficult to incredibly easy, assuming you use the knowledge correctly. I'll give you an example. Just recently, I had a party going up against a wyvern. And those of you GMs that have used wyverns before know that a wyvern's lowest save is will. Keep in mind, we had a bard in the party. But the bard kept trying to do damage to this thing. You realize how ironic it is for a bard to only try to do damage to a creature whose lowest save is will. But nobody did a recall knowledge, so nobody knew that its lowest save was will save. So of course the bard tried to do damage to it. And the crazy part of it is, the party kept rolling 25s, which was 2 below what they actually needed to hit this wyvern, because it was elite. Recall knowledge not only tells spellcasters exactly what spells to use, it also tells marshals what type of action they should use as well. Because remember, marshals can intimidate for a status bonus if their target has a low will save. They can trip if the target has a low reflex, and they can grapple if the target has a low fortitude save. Recall knowledge is a lot more powerful than some people seem to think, and all it takes is a single action on your turn. There are even some feats that make recall knowledge even better, and even spells. The fact is, recall knowledge should be used a lot more than it is. Tip number 2 is to stack bonuses and penalties. Now, I know there are only 3 types of bonuses and penalties in this system, but that doesn't mean that combining these isn't extremely powerful. Let's go back to that wyvern example. So the bard was setting up her courageous anthem, which is a good thing. But let's just say hypothetically that the bard also cast her phantom pain spell, which the wyvern critically failed on. Hypothetically. Now the entire party now has an effective +3 to hit that wyvern, which is already insane. Now let's just say hypothetically that the fighter sees this and decides, let's make this wyvern off guard by either tripping it or grappling it. Now I know those are tall orders, but let's just say he succeeds on that. That means, hypothetically, the party could have an effective +5 to hit this wyvern, which is absolutely insane. And keep in mind, the party kept rolling 25s to hit this thing, which was 2 below what they actually needed to hit. That means, with just the fighter's off guard condition, they would have hit it all those times they rolled 25s. That's just with that. Not even the bard helping out. But the bard is helpful because they could have rolled lower than that and still hit. And it also gives everyone in the party a bigger chance of critting this wyvern. All this from stacking bonuses and penalties. Keep in mind, you're not going to get much higher than an effective +5. But that's still absolutely insane. Stacking bonuses and penalties can make things that are extremely hard to hit pretty easy to hit, actually. And that alone makes encounters much easier. Keep in mind, you can also lower their offense with this type of thing. Especially in boss fights, stacking bonuses and penalties is a big deal. I highly recommend. Tip number 3 is to make enemies waste actions. The thing about monsters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition is that even monsters that are on the same level as your character have higher to hits and do more damage. So anything you can do to force an enemy to use an action other than striking or doing any type of damage to you is actually pretty insane. If you just let them attack, monsters will always outdamage a single character, unless they're lower level than you, which is fine. And there are plenty of ways to do this for both spellcasters and marshals. For spellcasters, inflicting the slowed condition, like with the slow spell, or setting up difficult terrain, or even slowing an enemy's movement speed in other ways. For marshals, remember how I talked about tripping and grappling before? Well, there's another reason why they're good. Because they force enemies to waste actions. And if you're something like a monk, you can even inflict the stun condition, which again, doesn't let them do anything for at least one action. I'm sure there's other ways that I'm not thinking of, but this type of thing can be extremely powerful. Especially since if you're working together, then the less enemies there are, the more actions you have compared to them. And if you can lower that even more, it's flat out amazing. This is why people say the slow spell is so good. But that spell is not the only way to get a similar effect, as I've just said. And if you can inflict the slowed or stun condition and lower the opponent's movement speed, it becomes a free encounter for your party. In some situations. Not all situations, but some. This is by far a tactical game, so what you need to do depends on what you're trying to do, and that takes strategy. Flat out. Overall, you do want to take these tips with a grain of salt, because they're not always going to work. But these are good options for any character. Tip number 4 is to give your class abilities to your allies when you can. Most classes aren't going to be able to do this. However, there are some. They're mostly marshals though. Feats like Share Rage and Shared Prey are actually pretty insane. If you don't know, Share Rage allows you to give your rage damage to allies. And Shared Prey allows you to share your Hunt Prey bonuses, including your Hunter's Edge, with other party members. Think about giving the Flurry Ranger or the Fighter your rage damage. Or think about giving the Barbarian or the Fighter your Hunter's Edge bonus, particularly if it's Flurry. These options are pretty insane on their own, but tip number 5 is to look for ways that abilities can work together. For example, remember that Share Rage and Shared Prey? Imagine combining those on a single character, or the entire party with Triple Threat and Contagious Rage. So not only is it easier to hit on your second and third attack, but you're doing more damage? Yes, please. There's also other ways you can combine abilities. Like, for example, any champion's reaction that reduces damage combined with the Protector Tree spell, or an Unholy Champion's Aura of Despair combined with literally any ability that makes the enemy frightened. And there are a whole multitude of others. Those are just the ones I could think of right now. I'm sure there are plenty of others you guys can think of. Let me know in the comments. Look for teamwork combos like those, and you will go far in this system. And those are my top 5 basic teamwork tips for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Let me know what you guys think of these in the comments below. And again, tell me some teamwork combos you know about there as well. If you guys are interested in getting my videos early as well as other perks, you can become a member of this channel or become a Patreon member just like these people here. And of course, if you want to get on the Discord, the link is in the description. But if you guys are interested in my video on the remaster preview for the champion, I have it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.